Welcome to CloudFest 2020 finale brought to you by GNX. CloudFest is organized by GNX, the official Linux user group of Netaji Subhash Engineering College, in association with Finex, the official tech club of NSEC. It was a wonderful series of events where eminent persona of tech industry with extensive industry experience gave us their insights and tips and tricks to get started with cloud. Today is the finale of CloudFest. We have a panel discussion on the topic Career in Cloud. The moderator for the panel discussion is Mr. Chirag Nair. He is a multi cloud expert with 4 years of experience. He is currently located in Singapore serving Cloud Kinetics. He has been an eminent speaker for events like GDG Kolkata, AWS Mumbai, AWS Singapore, and many other events like Kubernetes CNF Kolkata. He has influenced thousands of folks and has helped them start their cloud career. So please welcome Mr. Nair.
Thank you, Shilpi, for the introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank Netaji Subhash Engineering College and the both Tech Club for collaborating and organizing such a wonderful event from last almost 4 to 5 weeks. It is going and full of cloud discussion and cloud knowledge from the various different speakers from various different topics. So today we are gathered here to discuss the most important part, which especially in the student life everyone is having, that what kind of career opportunity in cloud. Everyone is having the internet access, as the internet is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. But still the question is there, that how to start a career in cloud, and how I can learn and what I will get after learning and putting the efforts. So I will introduce the panelists one by one, and there are few questions which I would like to pass on the to all the panelists, and they will share their thought. Meanwhile, you can drop your questions in the chat window, and we will try to cover. We will try to address all those questions also as per the relevance of the time as well as the topic. So let me introduce the first speaker, Mr. Saurav Sen. So Saurav, you can put Saurav on. So I would like to say about Saurav. Saurav is someone who actually mentored me and when I started my career. So just a bit, because I would like to share rather than the entire professional summary about him, but some personal touch. So I started my career, my first job from Calcutta. There I met this person, and he started the Kolkata user group, and I was also the part of from the early days, and we worked together and mentored, and he's having more than 25 years of experience. We had different caps, different roles. Nowadays he's working on his own venture. So welcome, Saurav, welcome on board.
Thank you, Chirag, for the nice introduction. Hope you are doing good.
Yes,
And
yes.
thank you, Netaji Subhash Engineering College, for this wonderful opportunity today. So, Chirag, you would like me to talk on any specific topic?
So yes, we will cover again the career part, especially
Okay, okay.
because you are into the AWS ecosystem from last couple of years. So it will be good, like you will share on that part. Okay, so let me bring the next speaker. She is someone you're gonna, obviously you are, I think you're gonna bombard the question, because from the last couple of months everyone is working and I can say achieving the Microsoft fundamental level certification, and she is the person behind the team who is delivering the training and all the content. So let me welcome Ms. Farha Dindar, and she's based out of US, and really she accepted our invitation, and it's a pleasure to be see her on board, and we will hear her thoughts. Welcome, Farha. Morning to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about this entire CloudFest event. So thank you, Netaji Subhash Engineering College, for having me here. As Chirag said, I'm part of the Learning, Skilling, and Certification organization here within Microsoft, and truly excited about the momentum we have around skilling. So happy to impart my knowledge and help you all here. So thanks for having me.
Sure, thank you. So now let me introduce the someone who is into the telecom background, played a CXO level roles, and now managing the pre-sales for entire Europe region from Nutanix. So welcome, Mr. Amar Kalvikatte. So bit about him that again the power of communities I would like to share here, because communities I always share about my personal journey. It's almost a 4 years. Even yesterday I completed my 4 year of career. So communities plays always a major role in my career, and wherever I lived, I stationed in multiple locations in India. So I met Amar when I was in my Mumbai days back in 2018. So it was a AWS user group Mumbai. There we interacted, and after that, it's a good learning and something always new to hear from Amar. Amar is based out of Amsterdam now. So welcome, Amar. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon to you and everyone in this panel. It's a pleasure to be here and happy to contribute some of the thoughts we learned every day. Of course, I'm. We don't call it the expert. We are a student, so we're a student every day because it's learning never ends. We are putting some thoughts today, but of course we learn from their side also, so that we can make sure that the planet is more beautiful.
Thank you. So the next one, he is a young guy, enthusiast, but he is, I can say, the most influencer, trainer, and the best content. It's my personal feeling, and he is the one who actually, yeah, he gave me the opportunity the first time to appear on any YouTube talk. So it's almost a year back. So let me introduce Mayank Pandey. So he is the one, if you remember, like last November, it was the first time that I appeared on any talk. I was a bit shy, hesitant, but really it went well. And from there, our friendship started, and we talk, we discuss, and a little bit about him that he is an ex AWS. He was into the training team, and after he left the move from the AWS, he started his own venture where he is building the people, trying to clarify the basics to the advanced level, and he's having a very deep roots in AWS part. So welcome, Mayank. Good to see you
Thank
again.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Chirag. Thanks a lot. Hello, everyone. Thanks for giving this opportunity. Always happy to interact with college guys a lot. I love that part and really excited to be here. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mayank, for accepting. And the last one thing I would like to say that when we talk about a cloud, it's not only about just an infrastructure and Linux and virtual machines or Windows ecosystem. It is much, much more than that. And nowadays, we are talking about the agility, the productivity, how the developers can be productively release their applications, as nowadays having a million user is just a thing. So that is where something, the new ecosystem of containerization and Kubernetes and DevOps come into picture. And we have someone who is into this ecosystem from couple of years. So I would like to welcome Divya Mohan. She's a good friend of mine, and I learned always about from her about the open source ecosystem. She's a contributor in Kubernetes as well as playing a different role, started from a system administrator to nowadays playing a SRE role in one of a major bank. So welcome, Divya.
Thanks, Chirag, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you, Netaji Subhash Chandra College, for giving me this opportunity to come aboard and talk. Like I guess Amar mentioned, we're all students here, irrespective of wherever we are in our careers, and every day is a new learning journey for us. So we are as much on a learning journey as everyone on this stream. So please feel free to ask questions if you need.
Yeah, sure, sure. Thank you, Divya. So let's start with the topic of today. So I will start with the question, and I would like that everyone will share their thoughts one by one on that topic. And guys, if you have question while hearing the thoughts from the speakers, feel free to drop. I will try to cover in between that if the question is relevant, and I can ask again to the speaker. You just mention if you want a specific question you want to ask to the any specific speaker. All right. Thank you, everyone. And again, let's start. So I would like to start with that everyone, because you all are from a industry and a different background. The first time when you hear about cloud and what you felt at that time, and now what's your feeling after working in the cloud field? So you can share. So Saurav sir, you can start from that.
Okay, so okay, good question. Uh, I s- I was in the industry, in the printer driver industry for a long time. So I started in 2000 time frame, and I was there till 2015-16 time frame. I was in those dealing with printer drivers, driver level stuff, operating system level stuff, and in various roles and responsibilities. In and cloud was a long way. Far off basically. I have no idea of cloud, nothing. And a new opportunity came up during that time to join the DevOps team of the organization I was working on. And I joined that DevOps team. And so that was my first introduction to cloud, how it works, and that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of unknown at that point of time. I would say what cloud was, how it works. I knew nothing. I knew nothing at that point of time, and slowly, I started to pick up some stuff. And right now, if you ask me, so it has taken some time for me to understand which areas I like of the cloud, and which areas it would give me more returns if I focus more on those areas, and which areas are better suits me. So that, because it's a vast area, cloud. And also I feel that with cloud, it without cloud, when there was no cloud, it did not allow you to open up such a vast area in front of you. With cloud, it kind of democratizes the things, so that a lot of things opens up before you, and you have a vast field in front of you. So you have to choose, you have to focus which area you want to focus on. And for me, I would say that it has taken some time to focus on those areas where I want to focus on. And that's why what point I am right now at this point of time. And like Amar said, that we are still learning and we are students. So with that thought, I'd like to end this question. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks. So see, I would like to add maybe a few seconds. So guys, it's not about that everyone knows everything. So he's coming from a very different background, which has nothing to do with cloud. But cloud become nowadays the essential thing, and everyone can start learning at any point of time. So yeah, with saying that, your thoughts.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
happy to provide my 2 cents. So, as we all say, I'm all in the cloud now. And this is the direction of the industry and where our company, Microsoft, is going. So, yeah, what are my thoughts when I first started? So, our company, Microsoft, got into the cloud space, I would say about eight years ago is when they started to delve in. And I've been at Microsoft pretty much all my life. And so I come from the days, and I'm dating myself, Pascal and Fortran, and everything was on your desktop, and you pointed things to a server. So my initial thoughts about the cloud were, oh, this is just for maybe startup companies or businesses that are smaller. This is never going to scale. Our enterprise customers are never going to embrace it, because why would people put data in the cloud? That's not safe, right? So I was one of those skeptics. As I started to build my experience and started to learn about the cloud, especially Azure. And we were also introducing Office 365 at that time. So everybody was skeptical about email and saying, why would we put our email on a server that doesn't belong to us? So those were initially, my thoughts. I was a cloud skeptic, to be honest with you. And as I worked with our customer base, customers were skeptical. They didn't want their data on the cloud. They didn't want their financial information in the cloud. And look at us here, 8 years later, everybody's in the cloud, right? And data and AI and machine learning is the place to be. And there's so many opportunities in the cloud. And I'll talk more about it during this discussion. I was having a conversation with Navneet earlier, and there's this perception that you have to be a developer to be in the cloud, and that's not the case. There is so many different work streams and capabilities that are there. And I think I heard you mention, Chirag, that DevOps and data, AI, ML, right? IoT, there's so many different, capabilities and features that you can embrace and build your career in the cloud. So yeah, it's taken us all by surprise, but we're all in the cloud now, and yeah, it's a great journey, and I think it's here to stay. I think a lot of customers, especially now with the lockdown, are really truly seeing the value of the cloud. If you looked at Microsoft's earnings, we actually announced better earnings this quarter just because we had a lot more customers embracing the cloud with Teams and Power Apps, and I can go on and on. So yeah, it is our latest and greatest thing that the industry is adopting, and I'm happy to be here and be part of it.
Sure, sure. Thank you. One important point which you touched very well, that about the startup ecosystem. It was like, still I see at couple of geography, it's still a myth. Maybe later we will discuss a little bit more on that, because that kind of thing always come when we are as a fresh graduate and we are looking for a job. Then we need to think that whether we go for any big house or maybe some kind of a startup ecosystem. Surely I will come back and we will talk on that. So Amar, how about you? So when you entered, because you come, entirely different, the telecom segment, and you are handling the one of the big ISP in Europe. So how about you?
Yeah, so it was as Faraz said, like everyone has a cloud as a buzzword, right? Before cloud, actually, as a telco and as a not a telco but also service provider point of view, if you look at SDN, took little bit earlier than the cloud. So the statement about SDN is still does nothing and still don't know, right? So those are the reaction came out of it. Like cloud was the same, was like buzzword, because at the end of the day it's a data center, but still it is a buzzword. So you need to think from a C-level perspective, like risk, cost, and time, because of the three major factors. As a leader, you need to think at. And the second thing is, like, what if I out of the data center operation, how the risk mitigation going to happen, cost of refactoring, then let's say proprietary applications and APIs, rethink about the ecosystem like backup, security, etc. Plus staff training, hiring new people, regulations, which she mentioned, data sovereignty issues. And those are the concerns where all the there. But also when we think from the positive side, we will start looking at like, oh wow, the deployment cycle will be much faster. Time to market and the even the information is much easier. You don't need to procure anything. It's basically a ready-made model like IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. It's like, and so also now AWS and Azure and GCP and everyone started managed services. So it was really giving the full positive and benefit point of view, and I think that was the use cases, like build the dev and steering environment in the public cloud and bring back the production back to the on-premise. And nowadays, if you look at it's not on-premise, it's either a hybrid cloud or a multi-cloud solution, as we talk. And I think and because nobody has one for fit all approach, and it's also the team which they are running with internally, which has a mixed skill set, combining, I think everybody need in the ecosystem, like rightly said. Without ecosystem you cannot survive in the whole digital economy today. As we call, cloud is the foundation of every digital businesses tomorrow, whether it's like application centric approach or building the cloud native approach. Cloud is become the core of every single business. That's my thought. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Amar. Just maybe again few seconds from my side. So very well covered from the angle, because most of the time when we are in our college days, we only think about technology. Even I was like that, like entire 4 year of my graduation, I was thinking like that. I need to learn this, that, then I will become a super techie guy or tech enthusiast. But the thing which you said, from because it's a top to bottom approach for any organization, be any size kind of organization, to adopt or start their cloud roadmap and cloud vision, like cloud first vision. When the leadership will be educated and leadership understand the benefit, that is where, guys, cloud will come. So it's not only about the technology, but from the business benefit and the business problem. What kind of problem cloud is solving? Try to think from that perspective. I believe your entire thought process gonna be changed. So thanks so much for your thoughts. How about you, Myank? How you entered into the cloud industry? Because I know your background is a development and you worked in a
Yeah.
couple of houses. So where you make
Yeah.
a plan that you want to be cloud and specific cloud trainer. That's I would like to
Awesome.
like.
So the first time I think when I heard this term cloud computing, it was from my younger brother. Okay, and I was working at that time, and I was actually working for government of India at that time. So I switched. I got a job at government. Okay, so I used to work for National Informatics Center at that time, and my brother was in his graduation, and he said that he's doing something on cloud computing. And when I heard that, I did not know what it is. Okay, frankly telling you, I did not know. And at that time, like many others, in the starting of, like, I would say, in the start 3-4 years of my career, I was more into application development, was getting things developed, was getting it tested, getting it delivered. I did not care where do we host it. That was not my concern at all. So when I heard this term, I said, okay, you do it. Every other day, every other month, we hear a new term, right? In this tech industry, and many of them, they even die. So I did not know that this thing is gonna last so long, and one day, I'll just get into it. So that was probably in the year 2010, I'm saying. And then 2012, when I actually left my government job and came back to the private sector, I joined Cognizant. That was the time when my boss gave me an assignment, said that we are building this product and we would be hosting it on cloud, because uh, the product which we were building, that was uh, addressing particularly DWBI landscape. And in the data warehousing business intelligence area, one of the pain points which customers have is that whenever they want to do something new, a lot of time just goes in putting the infrastructure. It used to run in months. And the basis for our product was that we'll be able to deliver things to customer in 1 month, right? From the day we start officially doing stuff, in 1 month we'll have something usable. So that's where I was tasked with with exploring cloud. And first love was AWS. That is still first love. There are others there, but then nothing beats it. Should not say that, but yeah. So that's how I got started. And yeah, I mean, from that time, I got more into application design, and then more into infrastructure side. I still miss those days when I used to do more on the application end, but then now that's where I am. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It is wonderful that coming from the application and then you heard something. Even the same kind of thing happened with me. I was like suddenly found something known as a cloud and a case study of AWS. So that is where I started learning and know about, okay, there is something this which is doing automatically, and we don't need to care about the hardware. So good, guys. Again, hear from the developer guy. We will hear more his thoughts about, because we all love development. We know multiple programming languages, but let's see what else is coming. So how about Divya? Because you are started from the Linux administrator as a system admin, and now you are into the ecosystem where, what I can say, the open source. You're a contributor. You are working at a very large scale of system, where you see how you got to know about cloud and where you see cloud is fitting. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I didn't start off with Linux. Basically, I'm not even an IT grad. I am an electronics engineering grad. So, Linux was not even something that I knew before I got into the IT industry. So, the very first couple of years when I joined, cloud was there. I mean, AWS was there, and it was in its very nascent stages at the time I joined 7, 8 years back. And I remember having these discussions with my colleagues, just like Farah, I was a real skeptic, like absolute skeptic to the core, wherein I used to say it's a passing phase. It will go away. How long can somebody trust another person with their security, with their data, with their applications, and more so even if it's like a company that handles financial data, because my first company I was handling, I mean, even in the current company I'm in a bank, but my first company was also a service provider for an insurance company. So I was like, nobody's going to trust the cloud, I mean, any cloud provider with any of their confidential data, let alone, data for super confidential stuff like government data and all of that. But I think this job, the current job that I have as senior systems admin with HSBC, gave me the freedom to explore a lot of things, out of which cloud was one. And unlike a lot of people, I mean, on the panel, I am a recent joiner to cloud. So literally, my entry to cloud and cloud stuff was recent, like three and a half years ago, not really far back. After that, obviously, my thoughts around it have changed because I've gotten to interact and learn more because I am involved in open source communities, and most of them are cloud native. So that's how my journey has gone. So from a cloud perspective, like from a fully cloud, not agnostic, I think I would have been a cloud atheist if there was a term like that back 7 years ago. I am a full cloud convert right now because I don't think a lot of the stuff that we have at our fingertips, irrespective of the OS, irrespective of the application that we use, would have been possible without the prowess of cloud that that has taken the world by storm. So I genuinely think that none of this would have been possible if we were still sticking to on-prem because it limited our way of functioning in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's my 2 cents about it.
Sure, thank you, Divya. And just would like to share, like after hearing all five of yours thought, guys, cloud is no longer the new thing. It is like everywhere now, be it any scale of organization. And keep remember, especially again, addressing to the students, it doesn't mean that you need to only have a computer science degree. That is the first thing. Please remove from your mind. Here you see the people who are from the different background. It's nothing to do with IT, but it's all about the learning curve and the efforts they have put and the decision they have taken couple of years back, and it's like a continuous journey. So make a note that there is nothing that you need to be computer science. You can be from any field. It's all about your effort. You need to put the efforts to learn the thing, to clear the basics. So with talking about the basics, now I would like to address another question, that is cloud is only for developers or about development? I would like to hear all the speakers thought around that, because why this, it is always coming because in our while doing the graduation, the it's the most of the academics are focused around the development subject or algorithm subject. But sometime, not sometime, but I even it's on my personally also, first 3 years of my graduation, yeah, I was doing programming. But when it comes a decision or the point that I need to take a call, what actually I want to do, I see that I don't think that programming is cup of tea for me, or I will not fit into that. At that time I need to take a call, and I believe such kind of situation is happening with everyone started from first and second year with the programming, but when it reached to the final year and when they are going to start their professional journey, people got confused. So let's start again with from the Saurav sir, that is cloud is for only for developers. What's your take on this? What's your
So, Chirag, I would like to answer this question in a different way. Like, cloud is not only for developers, it's for everybody. Whoever wants to learn cloud or whoever wants to learn new stuff and utilize their add value to it. So it's for everybody. But I would say that having a developer background or knowing some developer tools or some programming languages, those are very much welcome and needed when you are in this kind of new field, because it helps you a great lot in learning the new stuff and also adding more value. Because you see, whatever task you do a DevOps, or you do a you are a developer, or you are a tester, you have to write some piece of code and or do some sort of programming. You write unit test, or you write integration test, or you write smoke test, or you write performance testing, or you write your infrastructure as a code, or for developer you write the application code. So everywhere you have to write some sort of code. So coding knowledge is one of the basic requirements that I would feel is you need to, and it's not that you would be doing always production level of coding, but you would need some idea of coding and some liking for coding to get through, because cloud is vast basically. And like it's the is the companies see the value in companies always see value in a new thing they are adopting. So cloud first, whatever value it was giving, and they will keep on adding those or adding to those values. So say suppose today you are doing certain things in X amount of time, tomorrow you are expected to reduce that time to do the same amount of thing, and for that thing you need some sort of automation or some sort of I would say some sort of programmatic skills are required to put in those automation and those kind of stuff. So yes, some sort of skills would be required, but to start with cloud, you may not require those. Means everybody is welcome to cloud to learn cloud, but it would help definitely if you have some sort of programming skills.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Saurabh. Yes, Amar, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, if I have to answer that question very quickly, is of course, like I said, as an organization, there's no one fit for approach, right? Of course, developer is really important, and of course, as we are moving towards agility, meaning everything needs to be automated, everything needs to be infrastructure as code or anything as a code, right? Because code means what your deployment cycle should be faster, but also important to understand from organization point of view is minimizing the manual errors people are making, right? So the like CI/CD pipeline, if you look at why it is needed, because you basically go through that test and everything, and then if everything goes okay, then use that code and basically deploy it faster, because that's where you are adding time to market faster, meaning you're reducing the cost, but other hand you're adding revenue generation at the same time, right? That's one thing. But the as rightly said in the first place, like the everything is moving towards software driven. So of course development is one of the foundation, equally as the cloud is moving and the multi-cloud is taking place. I think software is a key driver for today's, at least in the area of technology sector. Yeah, of course you need financial team, of course you need project management team to run the entire show, but from basically implementation point of view, cloud is become the key.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for your input. Farah, your take on this?
Yeah, for sure. So the way I would put it is, I think, I hear this a lot, and I also have a high schooler that they talk about, oh, well, coding is scary. It's kind of like math, right? If you don't like it, you sort of just get away from it, right? And I think what I want to tell our listeners today is development and coding is a very critical part of software, right? Software wouldn't exist without it. But I want to encourage everybody to know that just because you don't like it doesn't mean that you don't have to be in the IT industry. So I'll give you some examples. And I learned this because I started as a developer. I wrote, C programming, Java, and Visual Basic. But as I started to build my career in IT, I noticed that there were system administrators and system engineers and data people, DevOps people, right? They didn't have a coding background, but they have careers, active careers in the IT industry. So couple of pointers I wanna give. So if you're interested in IT and how the information technology industry works, there are so many different areas. So I want everybody to start thinking about infrastructure, right? How does infrastructure work? How do you set up the cloud? What do servers do? What is bandwidth, right? Those little things around the nuts and bolts behind how technology works. Although at the very fundamental level there's coding, but there's a lot of process and optimization and agility, and from the DevOps side you have Scrum and all those technologies that come into play. So I would say that those would be technologies that you want to start to look at. And then from the data and AI side, today data and AI is everywhere. With machine learning, you're writing algorithms, which in my opinion is still a form of coding, but it's not as scary. On the other side, and I know I'm quoting all Microsoft technologies here, we just launched Power Apps, which is we have the whole no code, right? So, the industry understands that not everybody wants to write code, not everybody is interested in writing code. But like all the other speakers said, having a fundamental understanding of how software works, what are the behind the scenes happenings is always good. It's always good to be informed, but it doesn't mean that that's the end all and be all. Like if you don't really like writing code, you don't like looking at code, that's totally fine. You can still build a great career in the IT sector, because there's so many other work streams and capabilities that you can build your expertise on. So yeah, that's how I'd like to start. We can go on and on, but I agree. I think it would start with not disliking software and development. I think that's an important key. But you can try to understand it, but you don't have to fear it and get away from it. It's not a starting point where if you don't like it, then you can't build a career in it. I disagree with that. I've worked with, in fact, I hire people. Two folks on my team have a psychology background. They don't even have an IT background, but they're
Wow.
really, really strong because they're learners and they want to learn how things work. And they're really good tech people. So just my 2 cents there.
Sure, sure. Thanks. So you touch a very, what I can say, a beautiful and important point, which most of the, especially including the new generation, are not aware about, that no code platforms. So there are these kind of things are now picking the market and trying to solve and building a solution as quickly as possible. So guys, make a note, try to search. Microsoft is having a very end-to-end ecosystem. I believe it's like a complete cloud. They are giving all the SaaS layer to the infra to the PaaS. Just search and Power Apps. I personally try to learn nowadays. So it's really awesome and mind-blowing. With that, just I would like to add one more thing. Mayank and Divya, you're left. Maybe I would like to hear from your side where the foundation or fundamentals also play, because we heard from the other people about the development is required, little bit of foundation level of development. What other foundations are required? So that anyone can think about the career perspective, that from the strong opinion that yes, that I know few foundation thing, but this is my core strength and area here, and he or she can shine. So man.
Okay, I think Saurav, Farah, and Amar, they have covered a lot of points, very important points, and on those things, I don't think I have a lot to add because they have already talked about it. So, but we have to try and understand that when we are in this IT industry, and I'll just try to talk about it in a very simple manner for you. All of us in this IT industry, what are we there for? We are here to facilitate some software for some organization. That's the underlying thing, right? Now there can be two ways. One is that that particular organization either just buys the software from some other provider, or the other thing is that particular organization gets it developed from someone. In a broad level, these are the two things. Now in the first scenario where you are just buying, if you do not understand much of coding or you do not want to get into the details, it is still okay. If you just know this is the functionality which I want, it's fine. Okay, but in the second case, you do need to understand some amount of coding. Now all the other speakers have already talked about it, and of course there are so many career career streams are available. If you don't want to code, you can go ahead and do a lot of other things as well. But I want to talk about a shift which is happening currently. Cloud, I started working on cloud in 2012. It is 2020 now. Uh, the shift which I'm seeing is, and I guess others also would have seen this thing, that first it was all about people trying to just move to cloud. Doesn't matter what they're using. It was more around, okay, if even if you are able to put your VMs, it's great. People were talking with a lot of pride that we are operating in cloud. Now that has become old fashioned. If you just talk about running VMs on cloud, people say probably they are not that advanced. So you need to think about, you need to talk about new things. People, so you will hear new terms, containers, serverless. People are talking all of this these days. But leave apart these technologies or terms, you have to understand the shift which is happening. What are these cloud providers doing? These cloud providers, they have come and they want to, what they want to do is they want to take away a lot of responsibilities which customers earlier had, right? So earlier, a particular organization, which is probably a retail company or an FMCG company, they were doing a lot of, like, they were maintaining a good amount of IT department on their own, or they were outsourcing probably to a lot of these SIs. But then now, with these cloud companies coming in or cloud vendors coming in, what they say is, you see, we have got these managed services where you do not need to worry about underlying infrastructure. You don't need to worry about scaling. You don't need to worry about capacity. You don't need to worry about reliability. All you have to do is go ahead, build your application, host it. We take care of everything else. So what has changed in the last so many years? The application development and its demand was there, and it is there even today, and it will remain there in future as well. But whereas some of the other things, let's say, I mean, I'll tell you about a monitoring job. There was somebody who was doing a monitoring job earlier, right? Was probably first looking at certain tools in a manual way. Then it became that somewhat automated tools came, and now, if you see, we have services which will do the whole monitoring. You do not need to actually get into it, right? So that type of change is happening. So just to summarize a couple of things there, one point is, doesn't matter you learn or you start doing coding or not, but please understand at least how coding works, right? Anybody who is in college, if we are doing, doesn't matter, BTech, MC, or whatever degree, you need to understand programming constructs. You don't need to know a particular language, but your mind should at least understand that how does loop work, or how does passing the parameter works, and things like that. That's, at least that is required. The other part is, which Chirag asked, and I'll wrap up soon, is that apart from just this coding part, you need to learn some of the fundamentals very properly, and those fundamentals are, um, learn bit of algorithm, learn bit of data structures, networking. I mean, needless to say, networking is like, the guys who understand networking, they are always in demand, right? I mean, you cannot throw them out. They'll always be in demand. So you should learn that. And if possible, in fourth year, you have a subject called software engineering, which we don't study. So please study that as well. Actually, that helps a lot. I'll just wrap it there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So networking is my favorite subject, and you, what I can say, you pointed very, very correctly. I am endorsing only networking, guys. Even if you are a developer, you want to work on this newer stack of serverless or Kubernetes or container, you really need to know networking. Without networking, those things are not going to fly in production. So keep understand networking, and IPv4 will need to be on your tips. Okay, so Divya, how about you? What do you say?
So in addition to what these guys have said, I mean, all of y'all have made like really valid points, and there's very little I have to add on. But I think my 2 cents on this topic would be that in addition to coding, development, and systems knowledge, or whatever specific area you are having a niche built in. Um, you also need to have transferable skills that will prove to be more important than coding, development, and systems, because at the end of the day, we are all developing and moving to cloud and doing all of this for a specific purpose, that is to um, serve serve the external customer. Like whatever systems we build, whatever applications you build, at the end somebody is going to use it, and that somebody has to be satisfied while using that particular product. So all of this needs to come together well when we are delivering the product to that particular person or set of people. So my 2 cents on this particular topic is that a holistic information uh, about the end-to-end processes, or the working of a system would be very, very, very great to have. Obviously this will not be the first step that you take and you will be like, okay, I know everything about everything in the system. That will not be the case. But as you build up in your career, if you start off with the base of so coding, or by learning coding and by learning various algorithms and data structures, please do not ever limit yourself to just that, because as Mayank correctly said, um, in the earlier times, I remember that we used to have like manual monitoring systems to pick up errors, and you had to actually sit and look at where the system was erroring out. Now we have distributed monitoring and tracing systems for that, and you can actually have them pick out the errors. But what after they pick out the errors? Somebody has to actually go and fix it, right? So nobody actually, if you don't have a holistic view of the system, if you do not know how it all comes together in front of the customer, and you push it on one person, that one person leaves the company and goes away, you might not have someone to depend on. And in my opinion, a holistic knowledge of how each and every process works, from a bird's eye view, I don't mean to say in depth, but from a bird's eye view is essential. But that obviously will not come in the very first step. It has to be developed as you go on in your career.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
So
Yeah,
I just want to wrap up. I think Divya, you put it in very well. It's about the holistic view and having the end-to-end knowledge. And I give this analogy to my 15-year-old son. I say, you can ride your bike and you can know how to ride your bike and you'll still be a good cyclist. But if you know how your bicycle works and you know how the intricacies of the bicycle are and what technology is used and how you can make your bicycle better, you'll be a better cyclist. So I think we can use the same analogy in the world of IT as well, right? If you know the nuts and bolts of all these different, career streams that come together to, build out the IT sector, then you're just more resilient, right? You have transferable skills because you understand end to end. Number one, how the software industry works, and number two, what customers want. So, it's job security, it's longevity in the industry. And the more you understand, the more you're going to feel passion and wanna learn more. So, yeah, I just wanted to back that up with just a simple analogy. So go ahead, Amar.
Yeah.
yes.
So
I believe Omar want to add something. Yes, go
no, no,
ahead,
I
Omar.
think just one line. And remember one important thing. I mean, of course, we scare every day, right? Scare for everything every day. But fearlessly, if you have to think, I personally had one simple line. Look, today's innovation is always tomorrow's legacy. And to be honest with you, maybe I'm wrong, but we will survive every single day, because either, even if you're part of the legacy, and even if you really wants to move towards that, you need both the worlds, right? Basically, and because that migration and transformation will never end, right?
Yeah.
Even if you go to, so I think you don't need to scare much, like if I don't know this, don't know that, and I need to jump everywhere. As I said, like, today's innovation become tomorrow legacy. So you are still there, you survive, and you'll be happy at the end of the day.
Great, great. Thank you, everyone. So I would like to conclude this with one sentence, which I always love to say, guys, basics are everything. Hear from the experienced people. The legacy which they are trying to say, the basics, it is going to involve everywhere and it will build your tomorrow. So don't forget your basics, because academics are not getting updated the way cloud is getting releasing the services. So follow the major concepts, the major subjects in deeply, and it will for sure help you all and it happened with me because I missed in my academics day, and then I learned while doing a job, and it took me maybe a 2 to 3x amount of effort which I was supposed to do in my college days. So with that, okay, one important topic, I believe that is one of the favorite for everyone because everyone loves social media, everyone loves traction and likes. Coming to the part of certification, right? So guys, I would like to understand from you, for especially for again the to keep the mind that students is our target audience now. What is the value of certification regardless of any cloud provider? Because each and every cloud provider is now mature enough and they are giving from the fundamental to the pro level or the expert level as well as the role based certification. So just share your thoughts around whether the certification for a student, be it a first year or a final year, is valuable, or what kind of path. Because why I am putting this as a context, because from last 8 months I am seeing the guys are putting efforts, more and more efforts, and certified, but whether this certification will give the tag that this person really know or don't know, please feel free to add your thought. Okay, Amar, you want to start? Please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Of course, certification, which is qualification, always add. But before going to the certification, as Farah mentioned, me as a person first. Of course, we want, and everybody wants to be certified. That's at the end of the goal, right? But if you look from the knowledge, in my opinion, knowledge is a power, right? Knowledge is a power. I mean, you don't need to have this. Even I have seen here in Europe, and Para might have seen in US, nobody, even some people, they don't even go for any exams, but look at the knowledge and the basically the impact they add on the end users. Because at the end of the day, end user experience really matters from delivery point of view, right? But look at the knowledge. You need to understand how the computer works, because like Farah said, understand the infrastructure. Infrastructure is what? A compute, network, storage, database, etc. That's a foundation, right? Understand what is basically how that infrastructure work, how that nitty gritty stuff work, right? Because compute needs the data locally attached, because the read write IO needs to work. For example, network is needed to carry packet from one end to another, how that work. But security, which is the horizontal layer of the foundation, understand that security. Because as I said, security is not only just data, but also how nobody hacks the data. Encryption needs to take, understand nitty gritty steps. Of course, getting 60 70 questions from somewhere from white labs and these and that, I can do 10 certification in 10 days. That's not a problem. I mean, everybody's laughing here. That's not the way I want to add. Like, I'm expert certified, professional certified, etc. What is important is today, if you become really certified with the professional or a expert level, can you go to the customer and say proudly, you know what, I have the skill set, I have the 100% understanding about migrating and building the stuff from a scratch. Even if I'm a developer, if you don't understand the customer requirement, if you don't understand the risk and the cost associated, I think just having the certification, the value to the customer is almost zero. You cannot stand in front of the customer and you say, you know what, I'm CCIE or I'm AWS professional certified, I can do that. Customer said, okay, this is use case, can you build in 2 days? And then you start crying in front of it. And
Yes.
that should not be the case, in my opinion. First, learn, like Farah said, understand the infrastructure, understand why cloud. Always ask why. Why can't I build here? Why can't I go to cloud? Why? What cloud is going to solve my problem? What cloud is giving the customer not only the end user experience from the cost and the benefit and the agility, how the people behind the scene, which are not Azure certified or AWS certified or GCP certified, how we can do a transition from on-premise to the public cloud. I think, in my opinion, those whys needs to be sorted. And if you look at the theory of 5 whys, if you can solve those 5 whys first, then I think certification can follow. I mean, it can be done in overnight. It's a matter of 2 hours to sit for exams.
Right. Great insight, sir. Let's hear from others also. Saurabh, sir, how about you? Your thoughts on around certification? I believe you are not fond of certification. That I know.
I won't be so strong about that, but yes, I have my views on certification.
Sure.
So if you take a look at it from a very high level, the industry is moving to cloud, and so the companies are moving to cloud, and you need people who are trained in cloud to fill those vacuum that is being created. To fill the gap between the demand and the supply. And how do you close this gap? So that's through, you need to give some training, and you do need to do some certifications and those kind of stuff. Because if you don't do that, then you would adopt cloud, but you won't have the cloud transformation that the companies are looking for, right? So I would say that certification is important, but at the same time, when you are from a personal level, you are doing the certification, ensure that you understand why you are doing the certification, and don't just mug up for the exam. You try to understand what all the concepts are, and then apply for the exam, and then pass the exam, and that will add value to your long-term career. Otherwise, what will happen is you will pass the exam, but you will not be able to apply those concepts in your day-to-day work. So that's my personal feeling.
Sure, sure. Okay, Farah and Mayank, wait. I know you are the super excited about certifications. Okay, Divya, your take on this.
I completely agree with what Saurabh and Amar have actually said, that you need to supplement certifications with knowledge and with basic knowledge, not just knowledge. You need to understand the whys, and you need to understand the basic thing as to why we need to have this particular system in place. If you are having like a customer use case for just deploying for creating a new system, you need to understand, like Amar said, that it's not necessary that that thing has to go in cloud. It could be developed on premise as well. You need to understand different use cases. You need to develop a bird's eye view of understanding, and then get then delve into actually certifying yourself, because at the end of the knowledge certification, at the end of the day, sorry, the certification is just a proof of you knowing things. So it could also mean that you have just read and covered the part that is required, or the syllabus that's required to clarify clear that certification. But it's not necessary that you know everything that is there to be for that particular role. So if suppose I'm talking about an architect, a solution architect position, and I have a certification of an architect, but I do not know except for the questions that are covered in the syllabus. I'm just giving an example here, that I don't know beyond that. Then there's no point of me being an architect if I can't have that basic knowledge that helps me transfer that knowledge into an actual prototype application. So basic knowledge is key in my opinion. Certifications, of course, are an added bonus to prove that knowledge to an employer or to a prospective employer in the listener's case. But I think that knowledge is more important, and having systemic knowledge is more important rather than just doing it with certifications.
Sure, thanks. Okay, Farha, your turn. So you are behind the certification ecosystem of
Yeah.
Microsoft. So please.
So I'm gonna come with a different angle, but Amar, Saurav, and Divya, you all make very valid and fundamental points. It's very, very important. So before I go down my path, I want to highlight. So I think what they're saying is very, very key, right? Your basics, your fundamentals, your ability to learn, how you apply your knowledge. It's invaluable, right? So an example is that we all have degrees, we all have engineering degrees. It helps us with our brand and our marketing. But if you didn't learn anything in college and you decide to start your own company, or you go work for an employer and you don't really know anything, that's going to show, right? So I absolutely want everyone to take that away as a very key basic pillar of being successful in your career. But as you're building your career, you're all in engineering college today, right? We all know that an engineering degree, like an engineering degree, certifications are part of your marketing and your brand. We all have to have our brand? Like, who do we represent? Who are we, and what is it that we are bringing to the table in terms of skill set? So, having said that, I want to go back to Chirag's question around the importance of certification. So, we talked about the cloud and how the cloud came into inception a couple of years ago. And, as students of this college, you may not know, but certifications have always existed, right? So, in the past, and my fellow panelists here will be able to agree that we had certifications which were very technology based. But very quickly, the industry realized as the shift was happening, to the cloud, and everybody wanted to move to the cloud, and everybody wanted to move their business to the cloud. The thought was all of the C-level leaders were thinking, oh, great, we're going to move our business to the cloud too. What do we need to move our business to the cloud? We need experts that will help us move. And so quickly, the industry, started to look, and everybody was hiring for the cloud skill set. And guess what? There is no cloud skill set because it was new and nobody really had that skill. So it was quickly, AWS is ahead of Microsoft in this, where they caught on pretty quickly and they said, okay, well, we can be the leaders and we can create, a skilling initiative that will help not just our future leaders, but also the current employee base and skill them up, right? So that's where certification really is important. So if you say you're an AWS practitioner or you're Azure certified, you're basically, endorsing your brand to whoever's going to hire you, in the industry by saying that I have some fundamental basic knowledge about the cloud. Now, having said that, a lot of the AWS certifications and even Azure, and I'd encourage you all to go to both the cloud providers and understand what the certification paths are. But you will find very quickly that it's role-based certification. It's not based on technology. So I'll talk about, Azure, and my fellow AWS folks can talk about the AWS certification. But in Azure, we have role-based. So say you want to be an infrastructure engineer, you can actually get a certification that now tells your employer or whoever you want to go work for, saying, I'm Azure infrastructure certified, which is telling the employer at the very fundamental level that you have some fundamental understanding about how to stand up a server in the cloud. What do VMs mean? Or what are the networking basics, right? Just like you have an engineering degree, you're basically selling your brand to everybody, saying you have some fundamentals of engineering under your belt because you spent 4 years in college studying the engineering concepts. So it's the same exact thing. There's role-based certifications that you can take in data and AI, which will say that you're an Azure data scientist or you're an Azure machine learning scientist. So the industry is now focusing on roles, right? So when you get that certification, you're essentially going out there and saying, I am ready to go in and implement, data, like the data algorithms for a customer on the data science side, or machine learning is something that I can help with, in the industry. So it's essentially a brand that you're building for yourself and how are you marketing yourself. And it's even more important today because we're in the pandemic world. Everything is digital, right? We're not, seeing people face to face. It's all over LinkedIn or social media. So how do you build your brand, right? So when you achieve these certifications and companies give you that badge, right, and that you can then show that badge on your LinkedIn profile, it's just another way for people that are looking for that skill set to be able to identify you. So I'll stop there.
One last line. It's win-win. It's win-win. You win the
Right.
certification, they win the business model, because if you look at AWS, Azure, and everyone, of course, they're creating knowledge base in the industry. But if you look at the revenue they take out of the education industry, is enormous too, right? So of course, it's a win-win. To be honest, don't have feeling for Farah and anyone. But see, at the end of the day, don't forget the bottom line is P&L, which is profit and loss. So think about who's going to win, who's going to lose. And here certification is win-win. That's the reason you are adding your profit line healthy and their profit line healthy. So make sure that you understood that one. Yeah.
Really, thanks for sharing the thought. Just I would like to add. So my first certification was also back in December 2014 when Azure released its first exam, 70-533, and I was in my college days. So when I passed out, I have around 6 certifications. So from GCP, very early adopter of GCP. So I have completed that. But guys, what I would like to share, I have zero business thought process, and I was just doing market myself because I know cloud, but actually I don't know how the IT is. So the guys who are in now college, please make sure you put the efforts on the right side rather than just achieving certification for social media buzz. I did it, and it worth nothing. It is just maybe a short happiness, but for the long term, strong your fundamental, then certification can be a cup of tea. Okay, Mayank, coming to you.
All right. I think most of the points are again talked already, but I'll try to summarize it for all of you guys who are there in the college now. You have to understand that Farah gave this example of like college degree. It is similar to that, right? So you do your degree, but just based on your degree, nobody hires you. They interview you, they try to understand, do you know the stuff or not? Same is the case with these certifications as well. It just works the same way, right? Uh, One thing is that with all the cloud providers putting in, bringing in so many certifications and bringing this standard in the market, how much a standard really works, that's always debatable. You or I cannot really say about it, but a standard is built now where there are so many people who are certified. So because of that, what has happened, when you want to go for a job interview, companies try to, or I would say not companies, the initial recruiter, the person who is actually non-tech, who doesn't know technology, the recruiter looks for, would look for the certificate, whether you have certification or not. So in your first stage of filtration, the first stage of filtration, if you are certified, you pass through that. But that's what was happening, some time back. Guess what? Today everybody is certified, so everybody passes that filter, so everybody passes that filter, and then ultimately it is the team which is, the actual tech guys who are doing the interview. They look at your knowledge, because they are not just impressed by looking at those badges on your CV. It's great to have them. You have it, that's why you are sitting here. But after that, it's your knowledge which would matter. And one more important thing to understand is, because of this, I don't know how many of you know this. There is a complete ecosystem which these cloud providers have developed with different other SIs, I can say, or other companies, right? So they call them partners, and in order to become a partner, you should have X number of employees who should be certified on a particular level. Now, if
Right.
there is a scenario that you are interviewing for a job, and there are two people who have got same skill set, and one is certified, another one is not certified, then the one who is certified will get recruited, right? Because that adds to the number which that company is having. But please understand, I said one thing in the start: the knowledge level, if the knowledge level is same, if the knowledge level is drastically different, I would still go ahead and recruit the person who has the knowledge and ask him to do the certification, because that's easy. Okay, I'll just end it there. Yeah.
Sure, thank you. Because this was a very big topic, and I got a lot of queries that, especially to address this and hear the thoughts. So I believe, the listeners' things are getting clarified to you. Certification will add value if you complete it in a right way and you know where to leverage that value. Getting a bunch of certification will not help. And let me take it on my personally. I have bunch of, okay. So, but it's not that every day the same work is coming. I'm doing the thing where my company vision is. So rather than doing all certification just for the sake of building my stack or social media will not help. So try to better put your focus on your fundamentals and plan what you actually want to do. Then the role based certification you can pick the track, and I believe it will help you to clarify or to get an entry into a market. Okay, with that one last question, this is little bit what I can say, not exactly to cloud, but it is mixing with the cloud. And here I would like to address especially students and to hear you, because all of you are coming from the experience more than 20 years, and you see the industry shift from the AIX to the x86. Nowadays we are talking the PaaS services, where we are talking the managed and now the serverless. The question is, or the discussion point is, students are learning about ML AI extensively. Even the first year student know about ML, then I can say I have no idea, guys, because I have not completed a single project or work, because in my work my company vision is different. Students are learning ML AI because all the communities are putting more and more focus. Lot of events are happening. But one thing I found this year, the batch, especially the graduation batch, which is passed out, they're damn good in talking about the ML AI, but there is a, what I can say, very less penetration. They got the placement or job. Where do you think they are lacking, or what actually they need to address? Because when they talk about a ML, they are doing all these cloud labs to showcase that, yeah, this is how the things are getting trained, and again coming to the world of traction and social media. But when the D-Day came this year, most of the people are not aware, and I got lot of messages. I think, Chirag, we need to focus on our now fundamentals. Then I said, hey, what you did in the last 4 years that you are talking now today? They said, hey, we know ML. Because I think this is a buzz going. So please share your thoughts around that. That okay, ML AI going market is adapting, but where actually they need to put more focus so that they will be job ready. That's the actual question. That the job ready, how they can be, because new technology came. Even last year it was like blockchain, everyone talk about blockchain, blockchain, blockchain. This year I don't think that I didn't hear any big case. It's my personal opinion, I didn't hear any big case of blockchain. And now everyone ML. So then when the D-Day, the placement day came, then within a few weeks I got the same kind of query. Hey, we didn't get place, or how we are struggling especially. So please share your thought. Maybe my question is a bit lengthy. So, but the idea is to understand the talking about the top stack, like when the MLAI come into picture, but underneath, what actually the students are missing. So anyone can start.
Okay.
So Mayank, you want to go? Mayank, you want to go first because you are answering on the last everyone every time.
Oh, okay. All right. Taking this particular example which Chirag asked, as a students we have to understand, guys, that what are we stressing that we know. If you say that you know MLAI, and on the name of that all you are doing is just consuming certain APIs which are published by someone, you are not doing MLAI. You are just consuming certain service which has been published by someone. Now, uh, okay, let me spend 2-3 minutes on this. There is in this tech industry, um, the easiest thing is to make money from the buzzwords. That's the easiest thing, because nobody understands buzzwords. You go, and everybody wants to go there. And trust me, just the college guys are not the only ones who are getting fooled with this. Big enterprises, people who are at director level, even they get fooled. Because the thing, only the level differs. Maybe the college guy is getting fooled by MLAI, and an enterprise director is still probably getting fooled by the word DevOps. Okay. um, Now the thing is, it's important to understand the details of that particular technology, even which you are learning. If you have to try and think, ultimately when you say you are doing this thing, what have you learned? Just keeping it on this MLAI, if you have just called a few APIs and you said, you see, I gave these three inputs and it suggested me this should be the next thing, you have not done anything really. But instead of that, if you have actually understood different statistical algorithms, you understood them, you did a detailed study, and then you went ahead and wrote those algorithms from scratch, you trained it, and you really are able to prove that how did you improve it, then you have done some stuff. And if you have done that thing, trust me, you will not be unemployed. There are a lot of people who want such, such people. I'll just keep it short there.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Anyone share?
Okay. I can go. So actually, Mayank has a very good point. Again, I think it goes back to what we as panelists have been encouraging all of y'all to do is, experiential learning, there's no replacement to it, right? When you try to understand a technology and you go implement it, go play around with it, build your solution, you are a far better knowledgeable expert than somebody that just knows the terms and can throw it out there, right? So that's important. So as you navigate through the latest buzzwords in the tech industry, whether like Chirag said, it was blockchain, back in the past, and today it's machine learning and artificial intelligence or data science, I would encourage everybody to spend time with it. Back in the day when blockchain was the buzzword, I went off and I played with it. I wrote a blog on it. And my conclusion was blockchain isn't going to fly in the industry. That was my personal conclusion because of the amount of power, the computing power is required. It's just not practical, right? So when you come to that conclusion, you're making wise decisions about your own career path. Now, when it comes to machine learning and AI, to Mike's point, go ahead and play with it, right? So as your young mind starts to play with the technology, you build your algorithms, you build your artificial intelligence, your mind is going to go into places around the application. So the tech industry, again, it's all about solutions, right? Any great idea, if you look at entrepreneurs in the industry, the idea that really landed and that made them, billionaires today is because that idea was appealing to the human mind, right? So in terms of ML and AI, I would say to me, as a individual in the industry, it makes sense, right? Do you want a system that's intelligent? Do you want a system that needs to learn about human behavior? I think there's tremendous potential in that, right? You use social media today. You're using Facebook. You're using TikTok, what have you, and those are social media applications that are learning about you. Where are you clicking? What websites are you watching? And based on that, it's feeding you this information, right? That is ML and AI in the background. So, learn how those things are working. Even for me, the idea of driverless cars is really, really appealing, right? Again, I think driverless cars are something that a lot of people in the tech industry are going to, want to embrace because it brings back human time. Would I want to spend time driving a car? I would rather spend time with my kid or, my friend in the car and have a conversation versus focusing on the road. So I think those applications, as you think through, if they start to make sense to you, they appeal to you, you're passionate about it, I would say dive into it. Then you become the expert, right? You're able to go out and talk to customers or wherever you want to have this discussion. You're much more convincing because you have the application knowledge. You are giving examples to them in terms of how this technology is going to work or not work, and that's going to put you in a stronger position. So that's my 2 cents. Yeah, go ahead, dive deep into it. Learn how to swim. It's important.
Okay. Yes, Samar.
So of course, I don't go to that machine learning because, like I said, machine learning is a big topic. Of course, before going to the machine learning, you need to learn first data analytics, right? Because data is everything. Data is new oil, new currency, new gold in France way. First, understand the data. Without data, machine learning and those cannot be done. Even if I'll give an example, like when I came, when I was at CTO there, and I came across machine learning needs to be done. But then question is, why machine learning? For what use case, right? So, for example, if you look at telco, we bought more than 14 telcos across Europe, Caribbean, and South American region. If you look at the number of call centers we had is enormous, right? If you look at it, there is because we offer internet, video, fixed telephony. Now we're gonna hire offer the I2 as a service, 5G as a service. But if you look at if there is a problem at home, internet is not working. For example, if now I'm a panelist and the internet is not working, the first thing I have to call is the call center. But look at, for example, I'm let's say I came from India, I speak English, and the local language is Dutch, which you don't speak. How the chatbot, which is in between to the call center and you, can solve the underlying problem because he understands your language, he understands your concern, and there is some sort of algorithm runs that give you immediate answer that based on what you put as a input, as a parameter, right? So of course you need to understand the data, you need to understand what kind of complaints are coming, how the basically intermediate can solving the problem, and that's where basically those algorithms are taking place and solving the user experience problem. Of course, as I said, data analytics is a key for that. You need to understand the algorithm, right, like Farah said, and then you run the intelligence on top. But by doing that, first and foremost thing is build the passion about technology first, right? Be an open-minded, be hopeful, and the important thing is open your wings and just try to fly. And if you do that, I think AI, machine learning, blockchain, cryptocurrency, name it, all will follow you, not you need to follow them.
Great, great. Thank you. Yes, Divya and Saurav sir. How about you guys?
In addition to all of what these guys have added, I don't think I have anything more to add. But I think what I would personally say is find problems, business problems, and try to solve them. Or, find projects that you can work on so that you can develop your own expertise, because you can, like Mayank correctly said, you can call 4-5 APIs on different cloud service providers and say that, hey, I know ML and AI or whatever is the newest buzzword that comes in. But after that, when you are expected to apply that to a particular use case, it will not be of much use because you do not know beyond the use case of actually calling that, but of actually calling that API. You only know that you can call this API. You do not know how to build an entire solution around it. You do not know how to build an entire business case around it. So, coming from a company perspective, what companies look for is obviously you need to know stuff. It's not that you do not need to know anything, but you need to know how to implement it rather than just claiming to be able to call 4-5 APIs from a cloud service provider. That is something anybody who reads this documentation can actually do. It's not some, or take a course on a Cloud Guru or whatever, Coursera. Anybody can do that, but you need to be able to solve problems, and everything that is there in terms of ML, AI, blockchain, cryptocurrency, whatever is the newest buzzword, they are all trying to solve problems. They are not there because they are buzzwords. They are there to solve problems. Of course, they are at different stages in their update, in terms that some of them have died down, some of them are still flagellant, but they are there to solve problems. And most importantly, when you learn something, make sure that you are able to explain that particular technology, terminology, or whatever, like you're explaining it to a 5-year-old person or a 5-year-old child, because that's the most important thing that I think is there. Like, explain it to a completely non-technical person. That is when you actually know you have learned that particular technology. Like, yeah, if I can explain to my 85-year-old grandmother what I do for work, I think I'm a success, because that is exactly what I want to achieve in terms of knowledge, because she doesn't know anything about computers, internet, or cloud. And if I'm able to convince her that this is exactly what you do and what you see on the screen is what I am help provide, I think I'm a success in that. But that is the level you should aim to go, that you should be able to explain it to a 5-year-old what you know.
Oh, great, great thoughts. Like you put very rightly said that to explain to the person who has nothing to do with technology in a simplest manner. That is where I believe the communication also add the value. So, Saurav sir, your take on this.
Yeah, I think all of you have covered most of the points. So Mayank, Farah, Amar, and Divya. A few things I like to stress upon is so AI, ML, and blockchain. So like Mayank mentioned, the buzzwords, they come and go every year. And if you know only the buzzwords, you are not going to help yourself or others. Whoever you hires you are not going to help for them also. And so it's important that you choose whatever you choose one line and do a deep dive, like Farah mentioned. So it's very important that you do a deep dive in one area and it's better if you like that area, because it becomes more easier to learn something that you like. So you do a deep dive in that area, and once you pick up that area, it becomes easier to spread your arms like this and to pick in some subsequent areas and learn more about the stuff. Because deep down, most if you have a deep understanding of a area in great detail, it helps you to understand other areas much faster. So I would suggest that you do a deep dive into one such area and then spread your wings to some other areas and pick those up with time, and not be focused on any buzzwords, but try to understand why you're doing something. It's important to be remain curious and to know why you are doing something, and constantly asking yourself the question and whether you are adding some value or not by whatever you're learning. So that's my few cents.
Great. So thank you everyone for sharing.
I'll just
Yeah.
add on that. One very
Okay.
good point was that there is a saying, "Jack of all and master of none."
Right.
So we should try and target Jack of all and master of at least one. That should do.
Yeah,
So,
and
so one
there is a buzzword for this. I before I add this, there's a buzzword for that. It's called T skills. So like a T, capital T. So in one, it's a very deep dive. You go down and you
Okay.
spread your arms like the T arms basically,
horizontal.
wherein you pick up the other areas.
Okay, one question from my side to Farah and Mayank. As this forum is for the cloud, and Saurabh said make perfect in one. So AWS versus Azure.
No, that's always a long discussion. Then put me in Alibaba, GCP, Oracle also.
No, sorry,
I think most of the companies have already decided the multi-cloud culture, so this discussion would anyway go away.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
okay.
Good.
Yeah, so most the industry, to answer your question, Amar, the industry wants to be cloud agnostic, right? They want to pick and choose on what works for them from their standpoint around solutions, and of course, cost is always a big one, right? We're competing, right? As cloud service providers. There's always going to be competition between Microsoft, AWS, and GCP and other cloud providers. But I think from the industry side, they always want to take the approach. They don't want to depend on one particular cloud, right? What if that tanks tomorrow? Then it's going to affect their business. So that's the answer. I don't know if there's a right answer or wrong answer, but yeah, there's always going to be competition, and every cloud provider is going to say they're the best.
Yeah, no, I think there is, like I said, there is nothing wrong and nothing right, in this context.
Right.
It is about what is good for you as of today and how you move forward to tomorrow. And as I said, multi-cloud is the way to go, because there is nobody one fit for all of us, right?
Right. Okay, Jim, just maybe one thing I also would like to add here. So, guys, be it any technology, again, keep remember the fundamentals remain same, because when it comes to the production thing, you need to know the end-to-end system, because whatever the new burst technology will come, it need to be connected or integrated with the existing system, and that is where again the part of security, the networking, the storage, the computation. If you miss that part, be it whatever, even you can communicate about the algorithms or the ML words, things will not work. I see actually personally such kind of failures happen in the projects. So that is what my own learning is, that if you don't know this underneath layer, talking about the 10,000 feet above will not make you what I can say, a good practitioner. So with that, I believe we have covered. Any other thoughts you guys would like to add? We have a 3 minutes. After that, we can wrap up.
I
Any
think
other
the only
thoughts?
thing I'd like to say is, the future is bright. Again, the panelists emphasize on one thing. What is the in thing today is going to be legacy tomorrow. So my advice is, be a lifelong learner, stay curious, follow your passion.
Sure.
So mine is on top of it. Like as I said, because I came from a background where my father was passed away when I was 4 year old. I basically came from a even background where I was nowhere. And you look at, we are everywhere, right? So if you want to be in the journey of nowhere to everywhere, my simple one advice: open your wings and just fly. That means don't fearlessly, just open and just go talk. Don't fear, not only fear, take the fear out, right? If you want to be the future leader, take the fear out. And the first and last thing on the cloud journey, because that's a cloud forum, just try to learn today without rushing for an exam. Just understand, go to the forums community, put your questions. If you don't know, ask these experts. Maybe call middle of the night to Chirag, but ask him and then waking him up. Sir, I want to know this, can you do that for me? Or maybe call tomorrow early morning to Mayank as he's AWS expert, or for also from the Azure. But make sure that you get your questions answered. Make sure that you clear before you go to the deep dive and details. And I think that's how you learn. That's how, like I said, if you want to go to the mandir and the let's say the temple on the top, and you have 200 steps, you can't jump from you basically take from 0 to 200 step, right? You need to go to every step, because without, otherwise you will fall and you will break and you will not come. But remember, one last important cycle of success is fail, improve, succeed, and in the cloud world, scale. So scale yourself, and I think that's where you will be succeeded. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Amar, for your thoughts. Any other 1 minute?
Okay, I'll add quickly because we are talking more to students. So a very simple suggestion here: try to keep a track, guys, that how much of your time you are wasting. Uh, from our time till this, if I compare our student time and the time today, you guys have got a lot of options to get distracted. Uh, the same options could also be used in a productive way. So you need to be really, really wise there, that you are making sure that you are not just getting, going through all those buzzwords and the social media thing. I mean, remain online, remain be there in all the communities, but please try to do some evaluation at regular intervals, that how much time you are spending in on your own knowledge, and how much time you are spending in just sharing stuff. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Saurav sir, you want to say, or we can wrap up now?
Uh, Nothing like few one couple of lines I want to stress.
Yes.
So be curious, try to keep on learning new stuff, and enjoy what you are doing, because it's very important to enjoy what you are doing, because otherwise you lose interest and you stop learning. And that's it. Best of wishes and best of luck for your future journey and future life. Thank you.
Great. Divya?
I don't have anything to add. Honestly, everybody's said really well. But I think most of the time I quote this to everyone. So I'd say this here too. So whenever you are, starting off with things, again, don't take this very literally, but whenever you're starting off with things, it's always better to just go do it rather than waiting around for someone else to come and help you out, or find stuff and help you out at this thing. Like Mayank or Kamar, I'm not sure who said that pink Chirag at 3 o'clock in the morning. I completely agree. Actually, don't ping them. Probably irritate them till they actually respond. It has worked a lot for me. I am extremely curious, and I keep on asking questions, and I keep on asking questions till I get the answer I actually am looking out for. It may seem annoying at first. It may seem like you are overimposing on their time. You are. Let me tell you that first. So first say sorry before that, and after that ask your questions, because that is how I have done I have learned so much in my life. I have gone around poking my head in places I should not have, and I have gone around, networking with people and trying to understand why this particular thing fits in here, uh, and pestered them to no end. So I sincerely apologize for that on this public platform again, but this is one thing that I have to say, that please ask questions to those who you are aware that they are experts in their field, because they are always willing to help. If not today, tomorrow they'll reply. Don't worry, but please ask questions of them, because that is how you will learn, and that is how you can keep your curiosity intact. So please ask questions.
Okay, thank you. Just to add, guys, if you're going to ask question to any one of us, please write the proper question rather than hey, hello, just how are you, or can I have WhatsApp, this and that. That will not work out. Have patience. Things will happen. Okay, with that, I would like to thank you, everyone, especially all the guests who accepted and spent time with us and shared their valuable insights. And I believe for all the listeners, it is going to really making your decision making much more easy, what you want to do and how you want to start your cloud journey, or if you are already started, what you need to take it further. And yeah, with that, guys, connect with each and every one, drop your questions, and this video will be up on YouTube channel also, and you feel free to share, because it's not only for a one specific college, because all the students, entire country or half of the world is having the same kind of questions. So it will help to reach others to clarify. With that, Shilpi or Navneet, anything from your side, or we can end the Cloud Fest 2020.
Oh, thank you everyone for such an insightful session. It was an honor to have all of you on board today. And on the behalf of GNX team and entire college of Netaji Subhash Engineering College, I will again thank you everyone who has been part of CloudFest 2020. Like students like me and everyone out there, like who are starting, like who are not even a part of IT future, everyone is here looking forward the answers. And as Chirag sir has addressed, I guess all of the questions that beginners like are asking, it was really helpful. And I will ask everyone out there who is the viewers actually, you can always join them as they have said and ask questions, as that is the key takeaway I will say from the session tonight. And thank you everyone. Stay safe, and it was an honor to have you all on board.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for organizing it.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.